Oh, it's time. So, we've added a new segment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Joe Bellon some questions. We're going to pick Joe's brain because Joe's much smarter than I am. He's called Dr. Bellon for a reason. That means he's not going to operate on you.
I'm not that kind of doctor.
There you go. But we're going to have
all the production value.
Rapid fire with Joe Bellon. And Joe, I'm going to ask you 7 questions.
We have a soundboard.
We have a soundboard. I'm going to ask you 7 questions in rapid fire succession. I want you to give me those answers as fast as you can. Are you ready?
Do it.
I said, are you ready? Oh, wait, you said do it. Sorry.
All right, yeah, the soundboard was better than that. All right.
All right. Okay. Number 1, do all 4 number 1 seeds make the Final Four?
No, absolutely not.
VCU made the Final Four last year. Will another major team get into the Final Four?
I don't know yet. My initial instinct is no. I think a lot of the mid-major teams have been positioned. There's a lot of them, but they've been positioned a lot lower in the bracket. I don't see one of those so far, but I reserve the right to change my answer after I've had more time to look at the brackets.
Terrific. It's called Rapid Fire for a reason. Number 3. Which of the top 4? The first number 1 seed to lose will be?
Boy, the first number 1 seed to lose will
Kentucky,
be
Syracuse, North Carolina.
That's hard. Oh, that's rough. I'm going to say Syracuse.
I disagree. I'm going Michigan State.
Who's going to beat them?
I believe I'm calling my shot now. I think they lose to UConn.
Really?
I think if your theory is right about chalk being bad in the second round, I think it starts with that kind of a loss.
But Michigan State doesn't play UConn in the second round.
Sorry, no, that's Kentucky. Whoops.
Michigan State plays the winner of Memphis St. Louis.
Memphis. Sorry, they lose to Memphis in the first.
So you think the post Calipari era goes well for Memphis?
At least one more game.
Yeah, I think you're wrong. All right, but that's good.
Whatever. Next, will GSU play in the FBCS next year?
I'm going to say no. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going to say no. I think we can't get it done that quick. If anyone's ever had any experience with Georgia State, one thing we know is our bureaucracy is slow and incompetent. I don't see it happening quickly.
What about next year? There's probably a better.
The year after that, I'll say yes.
Okay. Georgia State men's basketball team went 21-11 this year, finished in the quarterfinals this year. Over under 19.5 wins next year. They're losing 6 seniors.
Boy, I'm gonna have to say under. I'm not as familiar with our recruits, but it might be hard for us to repeat that. This is the best year we've had in a long time. I'm gonna have to go under again. I hope I'm wrong.
I'm going under, but I say 19 wins. 6 over under 5.5 wins for the GSU football team this year. Assuming we stay in the same conference, we'll be playing in the CAA.
Assuming we're staying in the same conference. Boy, I'm going to go under again. I think you hit the nail on the head. We have a size problem. That problem manifested itself a lot this year. We lost teams that we should not lose to. Until we correct that problem, we're going to continue to struggle. I think we're going to have trouble. I tend to be a pessimist. I am, after all, an Atlanta fan. So again, I hope I'm wrong.
Made a question. Just thought of it. Will Georgia State University men's basketball team this year win the CIT?
I'm going to say no. I think we'll make a run. I think we win several games, but I don't know if we win the CIT.
Bucket, I say yes. Last question. Are bounties in the NFL a problem?
Are bounties in the NFL a problem? Absolutely. And shout out to Steve Hero, friend of the program, who has had a running argument with us on Facebook about whether or not bounties are a problem. Allow me to explain why they are. First of all, they are a violation of the NFL rules. The contract between the players and the owners expressly forbids non-contract incentives. There is no question that bounties are non-contract incentives. In some instances, there are reports of bounties in the tens of thousands of dollars. There are potential IRS implications with this. It is a problem for the NFL because it's probably widespread. It is a problem for the Saints because they were told to stop and didn't. And it is a problem because it's just not right. And I'm sick of people making the argument that somehow bounties aren't a problem. I love Steve Hero to death, but he has made the argument literally that players cannot hit. They are incapable of hitting in such a way as to increase the likelihood of injury versus the way they normally hit. In other words, his argument is the way that you normally hit in football has exactly the same risk of injury as it would when a player was being incentivized to injure another player. And that is preposterous. These are world-class athletes. They know what's likely to hurt and what's not. That's why you see fights on the offensive line when people think that you're cut blocking inappropriately because they know that that is something that increases the likelihood of injury. That's why offensive linemen get upset when you go after a quarterback's knees because they know that that is something that is more likely to create a risk of injury. Look, the odd person trying to take out a player is not a big deal. When it is an organized, ongoing activity that involves the coaches, it is an image problem for the NFL. It is a real problem for the players. And we could see Goodell is going to come down hard on the Saints just to set a precedent for this.
I agree. I think Joe Bellon said it well. The only thing I will add is the only implication of the conversation we were having was it is a liability issue.
Yep.
If an NFL player career is cut short by a team facilitated bounty program, that is a massive lawsuit. And they are already being sued right now because of the concussion issues. I 100% agree. I think all the ex-players missed the boat on this conversation because the question isn't if I hit him and he gets hurt and there was no bounty, and I hit him and he gets hurt and there's a bounty, what's the difference? And I think the difference is that if you were going to act the same way regardless, then there's no need for the bounty. The bounty must do something to make you want to strive for the bounty. That's my opinion. Like when I sold cars, if there was no bounty in this instance, but we would call it a spiff, that says that if you sell 4 cars today, you get an extra $1,000. If that bounty's not there, I don't really try as hard to get 4 cars. Now, if I get 4 cars, great. But if you give me an incentive before I start, I'm going to try to sell 4 cars. If you put a bounty on a player and I can get $10,000 extra before I get on the field, I'm going to try to injure him, and that is my point.
Well, and not only that, let's not forget that this is the legal issue is driving the bus, and a bounty system is evidence of premeditation. That there is a non-zero possibility that there will be legal action that is taken on whether or not this constitutes assault. It's evidence of premeditation. People that say that there's no difference between when you try to hit someone and you injure them, when you're trying to injure someone and you do injure, versus when you're not trying to injure someone and you do injure. That is a preposterous argument. Every legal system that I'm aware of thinks that intent matters. And it certainly matters in this, especially when it's organized intent. When the league is either actively promoting or tolerating a system that incentivizes players to injure other players, they are on the hook for liability. And I think we are all not as aware of as we should be of how much the NFL fears future liability. I think they've seen what might happen, and that's why you'll see this as an issue. So even if you in your heart of hearts think that players can't really control themselves, or that there's not, really a difference between when you're trying to injure someone and you're not, it matters legally, and therefore it's a problem for the league, regardless of what you think morally.
I agree. We're going to try and do this at least every podcast, but again, that was Red Fire.